And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Howdy folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today I'm talking about 8 games that I don't particularly care for. But here's the good news. If you think these games are fantastic, you can easily say, Tom didn't give these enough time, which is possible true, and they're actually much better than Tom says, which is also possibly true. So this is, I probably didn't give these the full time they deserve, but my initial impressions were so like, and I didn't want to do a full review of them, but I want to give them a little bit of airspace, and there are other people who reviewed them who might like them more than me. Or maybe they are that bad, who knows. So we're doing these in order of size. That's basically it. First we have Magical Unicorn Quest. Actually, this one I'm just going to say is completely not a good game. In this one, you need to get a golden unicorn and a majestic unicorn. It is the epitome of a take that game. You draw cards, play bad cards on other people. It could actually be over in 5 minutes, which isn't bad. But this is like a bad Flux with unicorn cards. They're really kind of, that's what it's on. This game is all about, this is the box, buy it. And I'm telling you, don't. So Magical Unicorn Quest, not good. This next one's a really big disappointment for me, actually. It's a boring box. Tobito, Logi Games. This one, I think you saw us play this one as a 3-player live. I played it as a 2-player also. It's such a boring game. It's like a small, it's really nice pieces in here, kind of with almost ceramic pieces. I'm afraid to drop this because of that. It's like a slow, small Chinese chess. I hate Chinese chess, so therefore a slower, smaller version I'm not interested in. All right, Brian Drake loves this game, but forgive me, not one I'm as big of a fan of. WWE Legends Royal Rumble card game. Now, I like the Royal Rumble. It's actually my favorite of all the WWE matches. I guess it just happened this past week. This is just a take that game. You play good cards on yourself and bad cards on other people, and you block their cards with things. There's nothing else to it. Now, if you are a WWE fan, I can see why you might like it. I get it. I don't dislike WWE. I watch it for a long time. I don't watch it much these days, but that's not enough to overcome the fact that the game itself is not that great. Prisma Arena. This is another one you could say, Tom, maybe you're not the target audience. Definitely a family themed game in a sense. You have the cute artwork and the people are fighting in an arena. The problem with this game for me was you just run up and hit each other. There's a lot of games that do that. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of strategy and tactics. There's also very much of a it's set in stone. It's deterministic combat, and especially in multiplayer, you just run up and hit the person who's weakest on health. Again, there's a lot of games that do that. The only thing that's a saving grace of this one is the theme is fun. It's a cool idea, but the gameplay itself I found to be fairly boring, and especially when playing with kids, there should be some excitement to the game, and this didn't feel like there was. Then we have Carritos. Now this has a really unique cover to it, and actually a unique theme. It's about a bunch of, in Portugal, a bunch of their kind of werewolves, and not werewolves, but like their stuff, the stories that are told at night, and these Carritos go around. But you have a special ability that you have, and you're moving around trying to scare people, but the game feels so slow, and the special powers, there's a couple that feel unbalanced, maybe they're not, but they felt unbalanced to me, and the whole game just felt a little off kilter. It didn't feel fun, for lack of better words, but it felt like you were taking actions on your turn and hoping the person before you messed up a little bit that would help you scare people. I just wasn't a big fan of it. Rapa Nui. This is the reprint, actually, of Giants. Now, Giants from Matagot is one of my favorite games from them, and not one of my favorite games in total, but a really good, solid game. There's a lot going on to it. It's the game that put Matagot on the map for me. I was excited about this when I played the prototype of this years and years ago. This takes Giants and streamlines it like to a fault. This game is so boring and so mundane. You move these giant heads, and by the way, bad components in here, because the heads are different sizes, but when they're on the board, they're very difficult to tell which head is which size. You have to put them next to each other to notice. That's a bad thing. There's symbology that's hard to read. The game itself just doesn't have any interesting things at all. They took all that away in the interest of making it faster and better. They just succeeded in making it faster. Baron Voodoo. Now this game here is a pretty interesting looking game. Each person is one of 4 different people, and you're manipulating these dice, except they're not really dice. They're cubes with different sides. Again, there's a lot of symbology in this one. So there's a couple problems. First of all, a very poor rule book that does not explain the rules well. They clarify things for me online, but even after that, it's a really slow, methodical, boring game. You're just moving these cubes around, trying to get it so you can take cubes off the board, and then you get points, and you get some points of your color or other colors, and at the end, it just, every turn, I was just like, I don't care. I don't care. It's not a really good aspect for a game. I tried to like this one because I thought it would be a really cool idea, but it just did not really do much for me, or actually anyone I played it with. And then finally, the biggest game here of the lot, Cedars from Ceres, Episode 1, Exodus. Now this, I went and looked up online. Apparently this game already existed before WizKids got a hold of it as like kind of a labor of love. And it definitely has its own fan base, so go read what they said. This production here is fantastic, except for the silly nonsense that there's like 3 reference cards and they say, hey, the 4th person can just have the rule book. I thought that was ridiculous. However, even though the cards have UV spotting on them, it's gorgeous. They're hard to read, and this is kind of an area control game where you're going to put out different bidding on different characters. You will then take these characters that give you special abilities. The problem is these special abilities compound upon each other, and the game has one of the most analysis paralysis prone things I've ever seen, because you're just going to say, okay, I'm going to put this person out here. I'm going to get some control of these characters, and I want these characters because they're this color, but this is going to let me do this, and this is going to let me do that, and it really, really slows the game down to a halt. Not to mention there's symbology and stuff. You have to look it up, and what does this ability mean? It is a really, really mind-numbingly slow game. And it also, in a 4-player game especially, and it can happen in a 3-player too, 1 player can get completely shut out, which is not a fun experience for anybody in a game like this, where like a turn will go by and you don't win anything, or maybe 1 person and everyone else has won more. And this is definitely a game where rich get richer. They put in a little catch-up mechanism that simply does not counter the fact, you know, like, if you lose with one of your characters, that character gets a little bit stronger in the bidding or the area control for the next round. That is not worth someone else getting a card. And then there's just take that in this game too. I can capture one of your people and then score the points for it. So you put in all the work, but I just happen to play a card, take the card, get the points. I was really, really disappointed with this one. Great production though. WizKids is really moving up in that way, but I did not like this one. So anyway, those are a bunch of games I don't care for. Again, take my word with a grain of salt. Other people, I mean, read the comments. People are going to tell you how I'm wrong, but that's what I thought about these. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.